Hey, what's up, everybody? We got a special stream today. I got DJ and Eli back with me. We have 12 mother effing games on this slate today, which is a lot to go through. So we are gonna go game by game like we normally do. But if you didn't see it, I did post a podcast only episode of the breakdown earlier. I went through all 12 games in about half an hour with all the information that I had on those. So if you want to get more info, you can go back and listen to that. I'm not going to be going back over it all here, but we're going to have a conversation about each game, and then Eli will share some of the good prop spots with us as we go. So how you doing today, man?
Doing awesome, man. I just can't believe there's 12 NBA games.
I know. Who can? So
I figured this out yesterday. There's 30 NBA teams, obviously, and 4 of them are not playing today.
Yeah, that's so crazy. That is very crazy. So this stream's only going to be like 3.5 hours. So just buckle up. And no, that's why we're going to pass on some games and stuff like that. So, all right, well, let's jump in and start talking about them, man. First up is Bulls and the Pistons. What do you think on this game?
I don't know, man. I'm starting to. We talked about it before, but I'm starting to like this Pistons team. Obviously, the Bulls are kind of on a different level. 6 points is kind of a lot. The total 228 maybe seems a little low. I don't know. But I think too many. I think 6 points is too many for me to take the Bulls, and I also don't know that you can really take the Pistons at +6. But I don't have a whole lot on this game.
Yeah, this game's tough, I think, because of what you said. Like, the Pistons have been playing pretty well lately, and the Bulls have not. So the only thing I thought on this game, without going through everything, but one interesting thing, and I saw somebody else bring this up first, but then I went and looked at it yesterday, where the Bulls against good teams, like top 5 in each conference, they're like 1-10 this year or something. But then against bad teams, they have a really good record. And so it feels like a spot to me where Chicago hasn't played well for a few games, and maybe it's time for a bounce back a little bit. But I don't feel strongly about this one for sure, because the Pistons have acted like at least a mediocre team here recently. So do you have props on this one that you're looking at?
I do. So I really wanted to like Zach LaVine's points tonight, but there's like a lot of people out there that keep taking his over when it's like way higher than it should be. Like to me, like his line should be 22.5, maybe 23.5. I would love it if it's 22.5, but they keep setting it at like 23.5, 24.5 every single game, which means somebody's out there betting on it a lot. And I wish they would stop that.
Am I not supposed to put 10 grand on Zach LaVine's points over every day?
Is that what you should do if you want to lose 10 grand very frequently?
Which I don't. I really don't want to do that. So
I really wanted to take Zach LaVine's points, but I can't do it at 24.5. If it's 22.5 where I think it should be, I would love it there. It's a good matchup for him. Pistons giving up the 6th most points to average to shooting guards in the last 60 days. I am on DeMar DeRozan rebounds. So Pistons have been the 5th ranked matchup for power forwards rebounding. I got it at 5.5 earlier today for like -120, and that was on FanDuel. And then right after I posted that, somebody said it was plus money at 6.5 on DraftKings, which I really wouldn't love. I think 6 is kind of the number. The 5.5, 6 is the number. So I took that for 1.5 units. Especially it looks like Beef Stew's not going to be playing tonight at all. So that's kind of that's really their main rebounding, consistent rebounding presence. Sadiq obviously is a pretty good rebounder at the 3 spot. Cade is a pretty good rebounder at the 2 spot. Jeremy Grant, as far as power forwards go, I don't think is as much of that rebounding presence as you would expect. So I really like DeMar's rebounds tonight at 5.5. That was 1.5 units for -120 for me. If you're seeing 6.5 for plus money, I would definitely lean towards the alt line and take the juice there if you still want to take it. I don't know that I would do 6.5.
Okay. I was just looking now. Do they have doesn't look like they have anything for Tristan Thompson. I was just thinking if Vucevic sits again, is there someone that those rebounds tend to go to, especially with Stewart out? But it doesn't look like they have a line for him. It will be interesting to see what Marvin Bagley does tonight with Stewart
Yeah.
out too. I saw some people post about that early on. I'm not a huge Marvin Bagley fan, but hey, maybe he just needs some opportunity.
He's
Who
been
knows?
playing pretty well in Detroit. He's been
So
playing pretty well.
who doesn't, man? That's where people go to play well
Right.
now. So all right. Well, that's that one. Let's go on to the Celtics and the Hornets. Boston -7.5, 225 total. This is one I said earlier. I got in on this at Celtics -6.5. I think that this is a good spot. Charlotte, I don't think is a great team. They had a tough game against the Nets yesterday, and the Celtics have really been playing well offensively lately. So I think this is a good spot for the Celtics in terms of a side bet.
I would
what do you
agree.
think about this one?
I would agree. I'm seeing 7 points on FanDuel right now.
Okay.
Which I mean, you get the push there, I guess.
Yeah,
Which
I like
I would
that.
completely agree. Celtics have been playing, just kind of a different level of basketball recently. We've talked about the Hornets and how I think they should definitely be a lot better than they are, but until they prove that, they're not, obviously. So I would definitely
Right.
lean Celtics here. I don't think I ended up taking anything on this game. I wanted to like Miles Bridges rebounds, I think. That's kind of been really the only decent matchup. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe I'm just making that part up. I looked at that pretty hard. I also looked at Marcus Smart's rebounds, but I thought it was just a point high. Charlotte's the 7th ranked matchup for point guard rebounds, allowing like plus 0.2 or something like that. But I didn't end up taking anything on this game. Celtics are generally not a good team to bet against prop wise, even when you have such a fast paced team like the Hornets. And nothing really made sense line wise and matchup wise to take for a Celtics player. I looked at Tatum assists a lot too. So if you're looking to bet on this game and wanted to do something with like an alt line of Marcus Smart rebounds and Jason Tatum assists, maybe that's a play. But I didn't end up taking anything on this game.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering about Robert Williams just because the Hornets aren't that great inside, but his line, I mean, and again, I'm not looking
Like
at tons of data, but yeah, and it's really juiced. It's like 10.5 minus 127 or something.
Yeah.
So
Now that you say that, I did look at that. He was on like my I post like a list of just starting point matchups I like before I see. And I think I did have Robert Williams points and rebounds there, but you can't it's at 11.5 rebounds for plus money for me, which he has not shown any consistency to be able to do even against the Hornets team that lacks a little bit of size. And then he had 10.5 points juiced. Maybe if you're looking at a double type lotto leg, maybe, I guess, but still even there, I wouldn't like it. Especially because I think the Celtics have the ability to win this game by 30. And then who knows who's playing in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility too, that it could be a blowout here. One of the interesting stats for me is I was looking at the last 14 games, and they've had 3 back-to-backs in the last 14, so a ton of them, and their offensive rating is only 100 even in back-to-backs in those last 14. So just that was one of those things where, like you said, I think the blowout could be significant potentially. Yeah. So all right, well, let's move on to the Suns and the Heat. A little bit of news in this one. It looks like Devin Booker is going to play. Yep. And so that obviously helps them. I think this line was 7.5, I want to say, or 8 earlier today, and down to 4.5 now because of that news with Booker. 220 total. I think this should be a good game. I think with Booker playing, it's an interesting one. He gives them an offensive dimension that they need for sure. So I think it could be a solid game.
Yeah, for sure. I'm seeing Suns +5 on FanDuel right now, and like to me, like I know the Heat are playing some good basketball. They've got Oladipo back to some extent. It looks like, although I think did they play yesterday? He played yesterday. He may not go again on the second night of the fact. He probably won't go again, but it doesn't really matter to me. Like to me, if I'm looking at the line, when are you ever going to get Suns +5?
Right.
For the rest, this will be, this will be the most points you're going to get for the Suns the rest of the year, I would think, barring something crazy injury wise, or maybe in the playoff or something like that. So I guess that's the way that I would lean. And I think Booker was just out for COVID protocols, right? It's not like he's
that's right.
He should be a full go tonight. So if I was going to take something outcome wise, I think it would probably be Suns +5, but who knows?
Yeah, the one thing that I wish Cam Johnson was playing too, because he's just
Yeah.
another offensive threat, and so it just feels like it puts a lot on Booker. Well, and maybe Ayton without him, which Ayton's so up and down that it's hard to rely on him. But you are right that to get +5 on the Suns is
Mm-hmm.
just about never going to happen. Certainly agree with that. I actually am slightly interested in the over here as well, just because
Yeah.
Phoenix hasn't been playing great defense lately. And with Chris Paul, I think that's more true of them. And so I think they tend to play a little bit higher scoring games. And Miami's scored really well lately. So I didn't bet that, but that's another thing I'd probably be interested in here.
Yeah.
So.
I actually didn't really like anything prop wise in this game. I think like, I don't even remember what I was looking at. Both of these teams are kind of bad matchups just all around for props by my data at least. I think I looked a little bit at like Shamit's rebounds or something like that.
Wow, you're
Maybe,
going
but
deep.
it was going to be a weird play, and I just ended up passing altogether.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did, because who knows what Booker playing does to the minutes there of those guys that have kind of been plugging the holes there for him. So, but no, I couldn't like anything in this game really.
Okay. Well, we'll just watch that one and not bet on it. So, next up is the Hawks at the Bucks. Milwaukee is -4.5 here, 240 total. I will say on this one, and I'm not going to do a deep dive into why, but I actually ended up doing half a unit on the Hawks money line.
Yeah.
Milwaukee's been playing really well, and we have to give them credit for that. Great offensively. But there's some stats here that this is not the best spot offensively for them. And the Hawks have beaten them 3 times in a row now. And so it just seems to be a matchup that's positive for the Hawks. And I think a spot where Milwaukee could have a bit of a letdown. So I just did half a unit on that, but.
Especially with Collins coming back. So I have a couple of props on this game too, but especially with Collins coming back, who we've talked about, kind of just changes their it changes the way that they can play the game offensively. Because Collins pretty much just all around makes everybody on that roster better. And that actually is a good, and I think definitely a lean on the Hawks money line or +4.5. Is a good bet. It almost I don't have any data on this, but it feels like the Hawks either win this game outright or get blown out to me. I don't know why
it does kind of feel like that. Yeah.
So the money line there for a little lean, I think, is a really good play. Back to the note just about Collins. Collins just making people better. I think like when I looked at it, Clint Capella is actually averaging more rebounds per 100 possessions with Collins on the floor. I don't have that in front of me anymore, but he that's one, that just goes back to the point of him making everybody better. Trae Young assist wise. So with Collins off the floor, Trae Young is averaging 11.4 assists per 100 possessions. With Collins on the floor, that jumps to 14.
Wow.
So that's a really big jump. That's like a 30, almost 30%, 25% jump or something on an assist. That's a big jump for an assist line, right? He's averaging like 9.5 in the last 30 days or something like, or 9.7 last 30 days. So I ended up taking Trae Young over 9.5 assists for one unit at -118. I think that line really could have opened at 10.5, and I might have still even liked it there just because of that discrepancy. Bucks are also allowing +0.56 assists to average to point guards in the last 30 days, 60 days, something like that, which is the 6th ranked matchup for point guards assists. So I'm loving Trae Young tonight. I also took Collins a little SGP for 15 points and 6 rebounds. When I got that, I think his rebound line was at 6.5, and it's gone up to 7.5. Because I think 6.5 is a little low. And his points line was 15.5. And I think that both of those lines were a little low at opening because of him kind of coming back and there not being a whole lot of data. There was a couple games before he went out where he didn't play. I think he only played like 20 minutes or 25 or something like that. So he's averaging 14.74 points ish in the last I think 60 days total or something like that. But if you only look at games where he's averaging 25 minutes or more, it's almost 17 points and over 10 rebounds. And then if you look at games where he's played 30 minutes or more, he's averaging 18 points and still 10 rebounds. So I think 15 and 6 is a whole lot of value, especially at plus money where I got it this morning. You can probably still get that for close to plus money, I would think, even though the lines have moved a little bit. Especially if it's a game like me and you think it's probably going to be and at least be competitive and close. So those are my 2 plays on this game, which I generally don't like to do. Trae Young over 9.5 assists and the Collins 15 points and 6 rebounds.
That stuff with Collins is really interesting. I just pulled up his game log, and you're right. He had this little run of games where he played 21 minutes in 2 of those games, but it's not common.
He still had 20 he still had 20 points in one of those games.
He did. He had 4 points in one and 20 in one. But just if you look back before that, though, there's a couple others in the high 20s, but there's not other games. You almost wonder if he was struggling with an injury or something already there.
And that was really in the 4 or 5 games leading up to him going out for a bit. So that's what I would assume, is that he was banged up in those games. And either not scoring a whole lot or just not playing the minutes and not having those opportunities. But it looks like he's kind of all the way back. His first game back, he didn't do a whole lot, but I don't remember what his line was last night or the night before, but he looked really good.
Great. All right. Awesome. Well, this is a game where we both have a little bit of action at least.
Heck yeah.
And I know this next game is Eli's favorite, so he's going to have like tons of plays. Lakers at Rockets. The Lakers.
Nothing.
All right, nothing up to -6. So here's the only thing I'm going to say for me. I haven't pulled the trigger on this, but I am seriously considering the Rockets +6. And the reason why, I'm going to just pull this up here real quick.
They've looked better. They're still a bad basketball team, but the last 4 games, they've looked like a less bad basketball team.
Exactly. I mean, so their last 2 at home, very small sample size. They beat Memphis, which I watched that game, and Memphis did not bring any effort that day. So, I mean, let's throw that. It wasn't like a good version of Memphis, but they took Utah to overtime. So, I mean, that's solid as far as Houston goes. And the Lakers, I just think the Lakers are terrible, terrible right now. So the reason that I haven't bet it is the Rockets would fall in the bucket of like, I never trust them kind of team. Right. So that's the reason that I haven't pulled the trigger, but I don't think it's a terrible line that we're getting at +6 on the Rockets. So, and
if I was going to do anything, that honestly might be the bet. I've said this before. I always want to when I look at like Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr.'s points line, I always want to pull the trigger because they always look so juicy, and you know how good those guys might end up being.
Right, like they could be. Yeah.
But there's just no consistency. And then like I have no idea what this Lakers team is or who's gonna decide to play it on like, so I stayed away completely, but you're exactly right. And I was thinking this last night or the night before, even before hearing you say it, is that the Rockets have looked better, relatively speaking, because they look really bad for first 90+% of the
very
season.
Long stretches.
Last couple games they've looked a lot less bad, at least. So that would be my line, I guess, is the Rockets +6 or honestly even money line.
Right. Well, why not take the shot? Maybe.
What is I wonder what I'm gonna do it real quick.
300 maybe.
A parlay of the Hawks money line and the Rockets money line is +722.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Right. I mean, that's something, right? That's something.
Definitely. And 2 things that are very realistic, right?
I have a couple other spots on here where I'm at least interested in the dogs as well. So, this is the one though where I feel like the problem is I bet the Rockets tonight and then they lose by like 38 or something, and then I'm like, boy, I was stupid because
that is one that if you get wrong, you're like,
it could be really bad. Yeah.
How did I? Yeah, like that. How else was that going to go? Right.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's move on to a game at least for me I like a little better, which is the Magic at the Pelicans. I have it 8.5 here. I should see if that is the
8 right now for me.
8 or 8.5. It depends which book you're looking at. 221.5 total. What do you think about this game?
Magic are awful. Pelicans, I think, are definitely a lot better than the Magic, but 8 would seem like a lot to me. Just gut feeling. I would probably have to stay away from an outcome for sure on this game, just because, like I said, 8 I think is too many, and you can't bet on the Magic team because they're really bad. But
I agree that you can't. Yeah, no, I agree you can't bet on the Magic. So I actually did bet on the Pelicans here. But I bet on them actually thinking and hoping that Brandon Ingram would be playing, and he is not.
Ooh.
So that makes me like my bet significantly less. I still am kind of okay with it. I just wouldn't like recommend it strongly to other people. The
Yeah.
reason why is like the Pelicans have been really good since getting McCollum, and obviously they're better with Ingram. But the Magic got propped up by playing Houston once and Indiana twice.
Yeah.
That's the reason that it looks like they've done anything offensively recently. Every other game, they're right around 100. So for me to think that the Pelicans could put up like 115 against them, I don't think is a massive stretch. So I like it okay, but definitely less now that Ingram's not in.
Yeah, hey, Tony Snell getting started again. He's like 45 years old.
Like
crazy.
five plus threes on Tony Snell. Are we
right
doing that?
No, I agree, and I do like this Pelican team. You've been trying to tell people about them for a long time, so I mean, if you're saying Pelicans to cover, I would trust you there. 8 just seems like a lot. Prop wise for me, I really wanted to like Cole Anthony points today. He's got a pretty good matchup. Pelicans last 60 days are the 7th ranked matchup to average for point guards, but it was 16.5, which is like just too high for me. I don't know if it's still there. If it was 14.5, maybe even I would have thought about 15.5, but he just hasn't showed the consistency. I think it's that high because it looks like Suggs is a game time decision.
Yeah, he is. And Fultz is out. I mean, he has been. He played like one game and then he's just been out again. But
nice. I also wanted to like something like I was hoping Herbert Jones or Jackson Hayes would have a pretty low rebound line that I could maybe jump on early this morning. But they were too high for me as well. Both of those are pretty good matchups, but I didn't end up taking anything on this game. But those are the 3 things I was looking at least.
Okay. Yeah, so I can't recommend the Pelicans with a lot of actually, if Ingram was playing, this was going to be like I usually just bet 1 unit on everything, but I was going to go to at least 2 if Ingram was playing, partly because they got beat so badly by the Grizzlies yesterday.
Yeah,
I think they bounced back here, but much less confident with him out. So
they should still win by 20.
Yeah, they should, but
should.
We'll see. I mean, I have them at -8, so I'm hoping they win by at least 9. So, all right. Next up, we have the Thunder and the Timberwolves. Minnesota's -15, 232 total, and half of Minnesota's team is a game time decision.
Right? Is it down to half? When I looked at it earlier this morning,
it might be 2/3. Yeah, it might be 2/3. I mean, Vanderbilt, Russell, Prince, Edwards, Beverly, Noel. So
I'm showing Vanderbilt too.
Vanderbilt.
I'm showing all 4 of their starters except for Towns.
Exactly. That's exactly it. It's going to be Towns versus Shea. They're just going to go 1-on-1.
Right. And so I look at that, and I think you've probably heard me talk about this Thunder team, who I think is a lot better than their record shows, especially when they get back and healthy. Realistically, I could see all 4 of those guys playing tonight, but looking at a 14.5 point spread for a Thunder team that honestly they got smoked last game, but up until then hasn't looked bad since Shea's come back. That 14.5 is a lot of points, especially with all those question marks at the starting lineup. So that was I might actually take that. I don't bet on outcomes a whole lot, but I might take the Thunder to cover 14.5.
Yeah, it's a big spread. And one of the things I thought too is last time these 2 teams played, Minnesota beat them by 30 or something. And I think Minnesota just destroyed Portland by 42 in their last game. I think this is an easy letdown spot from it. I think they'll win, but especially if they sit some of their guys, I could see it being a 6 to 10 point win, something like that. A relatively close game. I did also take the over. I got it at 229.5. I don't hate it here.
It jumped.
Yeah, it has jumped.
It's 234 now on FanDuel.
Oh, dang. It's gone way up. Okay. I would probably stay away at 234. At 229.5, I just think the Thunder have been scoring a lot lately and not playing as good of defense. And Minnesota, almost no matter who plays, they play a lot of offense and not a lot of defense. So, I feel like it's decent. But, that's really jumped. So.
I'm all over Shea tonight. His line, the
No
books, it
way.
looks like are they're finally adjusting. Tasty. They've
Okay.
been his line. I don't think his line has been over 25. It might have been 26 and a half for one game, like by tip, but it's been 25 and a half basically, and it is 29 and a half today, and I'm still taking it for a unit.
Okay.
I'm looking for, where is he? I don't remember what the odds. I think it was like minus 110 or something when I got it a little bit earlier.
It's minus 110 still right now on FanDuel.
Okay.
Yep.
He's also got a really good matchup so the Minnesota's been the 6th ranked point guard point matchup last 60 days, averaging over a point more than average. So that's 6th. They're also the number 1 matchup for rebounds and threes by my data. So that's maybe something else to look at.
Wow.
But you look at what this guy has done since he came back from injury on the 24th. He's only been under 30 one game against the Denver team, who I think is probably better defensively than this Minnesota team. I would have to guess, at least. He's averaging 33 in his last 5 games. We're just I'm on the Shea wagon until he starts to miss it. I think I also shared the stat last week with you that I don't remember what the exact numbers are, because I'm not even doing write-ups for the Shea picks anymore. I'm just saying we're doing this until
right.
With Dort on, he scores significantly less. And now with Dort out being out the rest of the season, we're on this until they start making the lines like 33 and a half or something, or he just falls apart completely.
What do you think about a small shot on Shea for a triple-double? It's plus 1,500. I mean, is that even worth a shot at plus 1,500 or no?
I mean, I'm full degenerate, so anything's worth a shot at 1,500.
Okay, all right.
I would almost. I wonder what like a Shea 35 and OKC to win, or like an alt spread plus 10.5 or something. You're probably not going to get that high,
right?
But actually, Shea 35 and OKC to win is probably close, I would say, to 1,500, and I think that is a lot more likely than a triple double.
Okay, it's actually 1,606.
Okay, so I don't know. I don't know that he did have 14 assists last game.
I was looking back. He had a triple double. Let's see, how far back was this? Oh, where'd it go now? Sorry, I lost my. I thought I saw one. Maybe not. I mean, he's had double digits in every category, but maybe there isn't a game where he had it. Oh, yeah, against Denver on December 22nd. So it's been a while, but he had 27, 11, and 12.
I don't hate it. So I mean, his last 6 games, rebound is going to be the concern, right? I think easily he could get 10 assists. His last 6 games, he's had 8, 7, 7, 5, 7, 8. So I wouldn't have even thought about that, but at plus 1,500, I mean, I certainly don't hate it, and I might end up playing that for a very small amount.
I just threw $10 on it, so
I'll do it.
Maybe I'm just gonna lose $10, but that's fine.
I'm in.
I'm like that too. I'm like, that just looks fun. So for $10, I'll just take it. And if I lose $10, that's fine.
I'm in. So, I'm with you.
All right, awesome. We both like Shea. I mean, I'm just riding the train with you and looking for places where I can get big numbers.
Have you watched him much? He is so like. He's one of the best, just elite, pure scorers I think that I've seen this year. Honestly, there's not many people in the NBA that are going to stop him from doing what he wants to do and getting the shots he wants to get. Like he is really freaking good, man. I didn't know he was that good.
I honestly have only watched one half of Thunder basketball in the last week or two, but I'll probably watch tonight because it's
you should tune in.
I like the Timberwolves.
Check Shea out. He's nuts, man. He does whatever he wants.
I'll be screaming loudly for him to get rebounds. All right. Next up, we go on to the Knicks and the Mavs. Dallas is -9, and the total's 216. Again, I'm not going to rehash everything I said on the pod, but and I haven't bet it. But at 9, I sort of like the Knicks here, and I don't generally like the Knicks, but the Knicks have played better in their last couple games, and I think they're not as good as they were for a stretch when they were playing great defense. They're not as bad as they've been for the last couple weeks. I think they're just like a lower middle team in the NBA. And Dallas has been really good. There's no doubt, but I just don't know that it's going to be a blowout tonight. So
Yeah,
I'm
and I
interested in
agree.
that one.
I agree that Dallas is really good. Luka obviously nuts. But to me, it's and I think they're definitely capable of winning like almost every game they play, and it doesn't really seem like they're ever going to blow anybody out to me for some reason. Like I think this weekend they really let the Kings hang in with them. Is that right? Who
Yeah,
are
I'm
not
pulling it
that
up
good of a
right now.
team.
Yeah, I mean, they won by 1 against the Kings.
Yeah,
I mean, they won
yeah.
by 8 against Utah, and Utah's been somewhat struggling. 9 against the Warriors, 5 against the Lakers. I mean, that speaks to your point, right?
Yeah.
These aren't all great teams right now, and they're all
And it
close
always seems
games.
like Luka's having to do something crazy in the fourth quarter to get them
Right.
there, even though I do think they're a really good team and could definitely win a playoff series. So 9 points to me definitely seems like too much, especially when just the potential on that Knicks roster to go off with, especially with RJ and with Randall, even though they have not obviously played well at all this year.
Yeah.
But nine points seems like way too many for me on the
To your
map.
point, like going on the game log, you have to go back to February 8th against Detroit to find a game where they won by 9 or more.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
Yeah,
So
I would worry a little bit that I think the Knicks are towards the end of this West Coast road trip, so they've been playing a lot of basketball out west in the different time zone. That may be a factor on why it's. I don't. That's the only thing I think of why it would be that high.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
the only thing that would concern me a little bit, but still, 9 is too many.
It's the 5th game on a 7-game road trip, so they do have 2 more after this. Because I do pay attention to that too. When you get to the very end of road trips, that can definitely be a factor.
Home.
So yeah, exactly. So, what do you anything prop wise on this one?
No, I didn't end up taking anything actually.
Okay.
I wanted to do something with RJ Barrett, but I just Knicks props have burned me so many times this year. I feel like that I just can't do it. And then on the Mavs side, if you're not betting on Luka, you're kind of just like, throwing something on the wall and seeing what sticks.
Totally.
And I didn't love the matchup for Luka either, so I stayed away. I wanted to like RJ Barrett rebounds or maybe like a 20 or 25 plus and like an alt rebound line, but I found some more value on other places tonight, so I didn't end up going with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so I just bet Knicks plus 9 here right now. I've been thinking about it all day, and it's one of those, like, sometimes I ask myself this question: if I don't bet it and they win, am I going to be like, "You're such a freaking idiot. You felt like this was a..." And of course, like, I lose plenty of those bets too, but when I feel that strongly, I just got to trust it. So.
And we talked about how what were we just talking about? How, like, if you get it wrong, you're going to feel dumb. What game was that?
Oh my gosh. The Rockets, maybe.
Yes.
Right, because it's like, so why would you bet on the Rockets?
If you get the Rockets wrong, you're like, okay, that was dumb. Like, yeah, I shouldn't have done. If you lose, if the Mavs win this game by more than 9 points for the first times in however many months, and you're like, okay,
right, then they did it.
I'm fine with that.
I've lost games like that before, so right. There's a little more behind it than just the Lakers suck. So, all right. Next up, we got a close game: Raptors and Spurs. This is all the way up to Toronto -2.5. Now it was -1 this morning, and then 228.5 total. I mean, I don't love this game from a betting perspective. So, what do you think about it?
Is Fred playing? Do we know?
Fred is playing, and OG is not.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to say I still think Raptors are the better team, but we've talked about how without one of the two of OG or Fred, they just look like a completely different team. And DeJounte Murray obviously at any point in time could, have 40 points and a triple double and can win the game by himself. Right. I want it prop. So no, I have no idea. And +1, it is just to pick them. It does just kind of feel to me like the Spurs are going to win the game. And at -102, just because they're at home and without OG, and Raptors have kind of been hit or miss and have been struggling, I think, to find a consistent scoring presence.
Absolutely.
So that's where I would lean. Maybe Raptors money line at -102, pretty much even money. But betting an outcome here would be tough for me. And the total seems maybe a little high at 228, but I have no idea.
Yeah, so sort of like you, I do think the Raptors are the better of these two teams, but I've been really frustrated betting the Raptors a lot this
Yeah.
year. Feels like I can't get them right. And I was actually amazed when I looked at the Raptors with and without OG. He makes a much bigger difference than Van Vliet does. Their offensive rating is 5 points worse with him out, and their defensive rating is 3 points worse with him out, where Van Vliet, their offensive rating is actually better when he's not playing, and their defensive rating is worse when he's not playing. So it's more of a wash. Where OG, it's like between offensive and defensive rating, it's like an 8-point difference. So I think him not playing
he's the glue
will
guy.
keep me off of it. Yeah, I think so.
And it doesn't really show up in box scores, right? Because he's not a 20 and 10 guy or anything like that. But he kind of just changes the way that they can play the game on both ends of the floor.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of the more we're talking about it, I'm kind of starting to like Spurs money line a little bit more, but I'm probably not going to do that.
Yeah, I think I'm staying away from this one as well. Like I've been more recently, I've just been creating a line for the game myself before I look at what Vegas has, and I don't live and die by that, but it's just something like, where am I gauging this? And I had this as a 1-point game and a 231 total. So I'm like, all right, it's pretty much what they have, so I'm going to just leave it alone. So.
So the matchup prop wise that I was really keying in here was Raptors give up a lot of especially rebounds and assists to small forwards, but I can't bet on Doug McDermott. That you would think that would translate a little bit up to Keldon Johnson. I had McDermott for 10 plus points, I think, in like a plus 100 same game parlay, and he's just it's like he's never on the floor when he's supposed to be. I don't know. I can't do it. So I stayed away from that. I kind of wanted to do something with Keldon Johnson, but nothing made sense line wise for me to take on this game, especially when I was looking at it. Fred was still questionable as well. I think the play might be that now that we know he is back for sure, this might change some things. Actually, I did not know he was playing for sure. So the Spurs are the number one matchup last 60 days for point guard points. But even still with that, with Fred he's been missing a lot of time. It's 21.5, which I think is too high because who knows how many minutes he ends up getting. So I don't think I'm going to take that. I wanted to take Fred's points tonight, but I think that's too high.
Okay. This is totally a tangent, but I was just thinking, I'm processing all the stuff that you're sharing, and I was just thinking about Trae Young's assists, and I'm like, I wonder if you could get a little bit better line on his double-double, but
it's probably worse.
It's minus 140, and over 9.5 assists is minus 122 or something.
And if you SGP, you can do it right now, especially if you're on FanDuel. If you do a same game parlay with Trae 10 assists and then 10 points, it will probably be less than the double-double.
Oh my gosh. Oh, they have it locked, actually, the 10 points.
Makes sense.
It's minus 7,000 for 15 points. So anyway, these lines are just funny. Like, I've seen you post this stuff before and some other people. Like, it is worth, I think, playing around with taking things in different combinations if there's stuff that you're interested in. Because it just doesn't it's like the books can't catch up to the player props yet in all the different combinations. So there's some weird lines out there. But
there is for sure, especially like I've really been trying to look at the defensive props more. Like some he was on the stream we did last week, Impulse 020 or 020 or something on Twitter. That's his thing. Like, he always bets turnovers, blocks, steals, and I think those lines definitely get even less at 10. Like, you can find some really good lines if you look at those. I just haven't had the time to really dig into them on any given day, but it seems like they pay less attention to those lines, and you can find some good ones for sure.
It's awesome. Yeah, definitely a softer market with that stuff. So, all right, well, let's move on. We got 3 games left. Next up is the Nuggets at the Kings. I know, we're so fast. Denver's -7, 238 total. Denver started out -4.5, but then we got the news that Sabonis is suspended for a game, so he'll be out tonight. What did I get it at -7? I actually bet Denver here. I started out not. I actually thought that this might be a bad spot for them, but the more I dug into it, the more I felt like this was a reasonable spot to take them. I think Denver does have some stuff to play for right now because they are so close to the 4 seed, and they're actually close to Utah for the division. So I think they're going to come out and play well in this game. I got it at -6. I don't hate -7 still.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I still don't think this Kings team is very good. And like just going back to the trade of Halliburton, I could see a lot of guys on that team being like, what are we doing? What are we even playing for at this point?
Right.
To me, especially with no Domas, like you're gonna, is Fox gonna get 45 points tonight and give him a chance? Maybe, but probably not. He missed four free throws in a row a couple nights ago. I had 25 plus points. I needed him to score 25. He had 24, and he missed 4 free throws.
Wow,
in the
that is a brutal beat, man.
I tweeted this. I was like, if he doesn't get to 25, like when the fourth quarter started, thinking there's no way. I was like, if he doesn't get 25, I'm deleting my website and I'm moving to a state that gambling is illegal. Like this is ridiculous because I lost to. I think
I saw that tweet. Yeah, I think I saw.
And I watched him miss 4 free throws.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, so no, I'm on fade the Kings. They stink. Sure, Nuggets -7.
Yeah. Do you think anything in terms of usage for the Kings with Sabonis out? Like, are there angles to look at there?
So I didn't dig into a whole lot of the on-off just because there's not a whole lot of data for it yet.
Right. Okay.
So I didn't actually dig into the stats, but one thing I did end up playing, I like Monte Morris's assists. He's been distributing the ball really well recently, and I'm not gonna be able to find him in time. I think his line was 4.5 or 5.5, and I kind of like that straight line, honestly. Okay. But so I was looking at that line straight anyway. And right when the Domas news came out, I ended up taking 4+ assists for Monte and 10 points for Trey Lyles.
Yeah,
dude, no, sorry,
you're good.
It seemed like Trey Lyles is from Indianapolis, so like I've kind of kept tabs on him. I haven't seen a whole lot about him recently, and it seemed like when I was watching him the other night, like he was just getting a lot more involved than I would have expected him to, and especially with Domas out tonight, I'd like him to at least score 10 points. So that SGP when I put it in earlier today was +120. So I ended up taking that for 0.75 U, like basically to win a unit.
Gotcha. You put those two things together.
Yeah. Monte 4 assists, Trey Lyles 10 points. I think Trey's line was like 12.5 when I looked at it, which just I think he does get that, but there's not enough data on it with him actually getting getting the opportunities. But I like Monte 4 assists and Lyles for 10.
Yeah, I will say with Trey, I mean, just to your point, like, and obviously he was with Detroit for quite a while this year, but if you look at games where he's gotten 20 minutes,
he's a decent scorer.
Generally scoring 15 plus. And you would think he would get that opportunity tonight with Sabonis out. So yeah, I like that play, man. That's really. I
think he's in the starting lineup, and honestly, I don't hate either of those lines straight. But I was kind of looking at both of them, and I didn't want to have 2 plays on this game because I think it very well could be a blowout, and if it's a blowout, you could end up losing.
You don't want it then,
right. So I liked both of those straight lines evenly, so I just kind of I altered them down a little bit and took a better than even money SGP, which I think is a lot of value.
I like it. I was trying to look for Trey Lyles triple-double because I'm just going to take everyone with a triple-double that we talk about. It's plus 40 million. So
that's Mr. Marcus's thing on Twitter. That's what he does all the time. And he's won like I don't know, $100,000 betting on.
Oh my gosh!
Not a bad thing.
No, not a bad thing. But I'm looking at Trey Lyles' game log. I don't think there's a high chance of a triple-double for him here.
Nah.
Since
something like a Trey Lyles 20 plus parlayed with the Shea triple-double though.
Yeah.
That's probably like plus
you
10,
can find some value. Yeah, that's right. We're gonna be millionaires. All right. No, we're not. I know. Please hear me. We are not saying you're gonna be millionaires. All right. Blazers at Jazz, Utah. I can't even get it out. -18, 221.5. So let me tell you what I did here real quick because I actually took something on this game. I watched Minnesota play the Blazers where they beat them by 42, and Portland is not an NBA team right now. I mean, they are so bad. Yeah. And certainly by the numbers they are too, but just the eye test, it was brutal. So I actually got in on this a little bit earlier where I got a tiny bit of value, but I've played this a few times recently in these blowout type games. I took Utah's team total over 117.5 and then Portland's team total under 101.5. Portland's only been getting to like 85 or 90. So I think both of those have a decent chance of hitting. So I wouldn't suggest taking anything on this game.
Yeah, no, I like that too. I think the Jazz's third unit could get them to 130 points against Portland.
I think it's possible. Yep.
You could take the Jazz money line for minus 3,500 if you wanted to.
With Shea triple double.
Right, and it probably goes down.
Yeah, exactly. Less value.
No, I don't have a clue. I'm with you. Portland is awful. Early on when Josh Hart got there was some value in his points lines. It really hasn't he's not doing what I thought he might do there. Simons was game time earlier, and there's still no props for him, which I think maybe we're okay to guess he's out.
Yeah,
I haven't seen news.
It says I just looked and it says he's out now.
Okay. Yeah, no, absolutely. This actually was minus. This was a 19-point spread when I first pulled it up again when we started talking about it, and it just dropped down to 18.5. But I mean, what's the alt spread to 30?
Right. I mean, if you're gonna take it, that feels like what you'd want to do.
Jazz minus 29.5 is plus 320.
Yeah.
And I think they win by 30 for sure, but
I mean,
not for sure. Never for sure.
But that wasn't the L word there. Yeah,
no, it was close.
Yeah. No, that's definitely possible. What's the matchup for teams against Utah point guards? Or I mean, like playing against Utah, just because Williams is the guy who actually had some offensive production against the Timberwolves. I don't even know his first name. B. Williams.
Brandon? Is it Brandon?
Let me hover over it. You got it. It's Brandon. No, you got it. It's Brandon.
I've never watched him play. It's not great.
Okay.
So something I wanted to like here was Conley's assist. So point guards against the Jazz is the 23rd ranked. That's like since the trade deadline when they shuffled things up quite a bit. 17th since the trade deadline. So it's not, it's middle of the road pretty much. I wanted to like Donovan Mitchell threes. I wanted to like Conley's assists, but I think both lines are too high when I don't think they're going to play in the fourth quarter for me to really like it. So
100% agree. This is a hard game to take any kind of player props, although they absolutely could. Like Towns had a double in the first half.
Yeah, that's
Portland
true.
The other day, it can happen, but it's hard to bet on though. So. All right. Well, from that, we go to a real crapper here with the Wizards and the Clippers. Clippers are -4, 217. This is another one where I went ahead and put half a unit on the Wizards money line, really just because I think the Clippers are facing some negative regression now. They had a nice little run for a while there, but I think
like they're playing a little bit better than they should be, for sure.
Yeah, right. And the last couple games, they've been bad. I don't think the Wizards are good. This is why I only did half a unit. It's plus money. I feel like this is probably a close game. And so I felt like there was a little value there. But I went small on that.
Have you seen anything on KCP's minute restriction? Or not KCP, Kristaps? Is he going to be kind of full minutes? He was playing he played 4 or 5 minute spurts against the Pacers.
Wow.
I don't know if he still hit his points over, by the way.
Wow. That's kind of crazy.
He had like 25 or something.
I'm trying to pull it up here.
So his points line is 16.5, which I haven't taken yet because it wasn't available when I looked at it earlier. But the Clippers, they're the 12th ranked matchup that's since trade deadline still. Let me pull up the last 60 days. Yeah, that's what I thought. So the Clippers in the last 60 days have been the second ranked matchup for centers and the third ranked matchup for second ranked for centers points, third ranked for centers rebounds. So I was kind of waiting on this line to come out and see if I liked it. And I feel like I'd have to take 16.5 for his points. Like you said, I think this is going to be a pretty good game. I think the Wizards definitely have a chance to win this. And I really feel like his line should be higher than 16.5. Coming in and really once he gets to be full minutes is going to be probably the main scoring option, maybe second at times behind Kuzma, I guess, but not really even there. And somebody's got to score. So 16.5, I think, is too low of a line. I think I'm going to take that for a unit right now, actually.
I like that. I did look, and I can't find anything on minutes restriction. All the articles and stuff and tweets are from the Pacers game. So
gotcha.
Not sure what he's going to be facing.
I think he can score 17 points in 10 minutes.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And you're right. Like, who else are they going to for offense? They're going to play off of him. So I like that. All right, man. Well, we made it. Huge slate. That's all of it. Yeah, that's the end, man. Do you want to cycle back and do it all again, or?
No, I'm gonna take a nap before these games start, I think.
Seems like a solid idea, especially if you're going to try to stay up for the late ones again. So.
No, those three games kind of stink. I'm probably not gonna stay up for those.
Yeah, get all 8 TVs going for the early ones. So
right.
Hey, just to remind people where to find you. Awesome updates to the site, man. I appreciate how you keep working on it. Like, you keep iterating, keeps getting better.
I'll figure out what I'm doing one day.
People really need to check it out if they haven't, especially if you're into player props at all. But I will tell you real quick, I've been using it for my sides and totals as one of my inputs, just looking at how big of an advantage there is. So, I have other things I look at too, but I've added that in as.
And that's something I want to eventually talk to you about, is building in. I have no idea how to look at totals and spreads and outcomes like that. So I would love to talk to you at some point about what kind of data you'd be looking at there, so I can build that in, because that is something I want to do. Maybe for next season at this point. But yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at DGenEli. So DEGENELI. The website is in my Twitter bio. It is dgenelytics.com. So DGenElytics, DEGENELYTICS.com. So looking at not just how teams perform against positions, but how the players perform in relation to their average at each position, to account for the player themselves. Going pretty well for us, and people are really seem to like the site. So check it out. Let me know if you have any questions, for sure.
Awesome. And at NBA Attack, it's on the screen there on Twitter. And I will just say again, too, I'm posting plays here and there, the plays I like best on Twitter. But if you want to see all my plays, just look at my timeline, and there's a link there for my bet stamp, where you can go and get all of those plays. Honestly, lately I've been doing more volume, and I don't really like posting, 10 different plays on Twitter. So they're at bet stamp if you want to see them. Hope everybody has a great night, and we'll hopefully talk to you on Twitter tonight. Have a good night, everybody.